8 sacks. You get 2 from N'Kobe. You get 2 from Jalen Carter. You get 1 from Nolan Smith. You get 1 from Jalen Hunt, which is a strip sack. You get 1 from Bryce Huff. They were coming from everywhere, right? Give me your perspective on this defensive line as it stands today. And you got Joe Burrow coming up next week, right? Do you guys believe they'll be able to keep up this trend going up against a quarterback that's very instinctive, knows how to get the ball out of his hands early, and he has 2 weapons that he can get the ball to?
The Bengals' offensive line trash. You know what I mean? Joe Burrow's been under duress for like his whole life. He's literally been under duress his whole life since he's been in the National Football League. They be in a lot of close games. They only really had 2 explosive plays against the Giants. The Giants was on them. You know what I mean? The Commanders was able to get to Joe Burrow a lot. I think that we're going to have some success. I think our defense is going to continue the streak of success. It's going to really take only thing that can stop this defense is this defense, man. With the way Quinyon Mitchell was playing, how he thought Neighbor's a little boy to Q, man. Q is a seasoned vet for real, man. Let's call a spade a spade. Q up there barking at Mike Evans and all of them, and people in his class, he grabbing them by their collar and throwing them around, even when they're playing on their side of the field. You know, so somebody ain't gonna eat. I don't know if it's gonna be Chase. I don't know if it's gonna be the other guy that they use a lot over there. What's his name?
Higgins. Yeah.
Somebody ain't gonna eat. Like I got Q. I like Q over Higgins. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I like Q to shut down Higgins. Chase is Chase. You know what I mean? But I like this defensive line to continue to get pressure. Make Joe Burrow uncomfortable in the pocket. We're going to have to do that if we want to have a dominant defensive performance. So I'm not worried about the defense against the Bengals. I'm not. I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to run a ball on us. I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to protect Joe Burrow on some of them long developing plays. I just don't see it. I really, really like where we're at right now, because not only do you got Cooper DeJean playing at a high level and just being a seamless transition that he had coming from the bench to the starting lineup, now you got Sidney Brown back. You know what I'm saying? So you're able to bring Gardner Johnson closer to the line of scrimmage as well, while putting Sidney Brown out there in a safety position, or you're able to bring Sidney Brown closer to the line of scrimmage. All 3 of those safeties that I just named like to tackle. They like to tackle. The only weak link we have on the defense, in my opinion, right now, is N'Kobe Dean in coverage. You know, other than that, I like where everybody's at. I like the experience everybody is gaining. I like this thing really now is still starting to feel like it's gelling together. It's starting to feel like we just need turnovers.
Right.
We just need turnovers. We just need to get some turnovers. We don't get a lot of turnovers, but we need to get some turnovers when we can.
Agree. First of all, I'm not always eating, okay? But
no, you always got something.
Why not?
I ain't mad at you. Hey, listen, says take care of you. You know what I'm saying? Nutrients, you know what I mean? I feel you.
By the way, it's turkey chili. For everybody asking, it's turkey chili from Super Jenny's. If you live in Atlanta, check out Super Jenny's. But yeah, defense, I feel like the defense has now strung together 2 really good performances back to back. A little inconsistency from the defense earlier in the season, but I feel like the guys have really settled in. It's going to be up to the D-line, I feel like, to get that pressure on Joe Burrow. Like LB said, O-line is shaky over there. Our pass rush, our defensive line is starting to eat. It's starting to look good. And I'm not concerned because I know the guys can lock it down, but the big, like, the guys that's going to have to come up big is going to be the secondary. Because of all the weapons that they have. And I mean, we know we got some dogs in the secondary. We know we got Big Q. But the question is Slay playing?
He should be.
That's a good question.
He finished the game, so he should be.
Okay. Because by that time I had a baby shower, so
okay, so yeah, he got hurt.
After we put up 28, I was like looking at the game.
Yeah, so what happened was he got hurt towards the end of the second quarter. And the quarter was pretty much over by then. So he pretty much went back into the locker room. He came back third quarter. He pretty much finished the game. So I think we'll see him against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about. My only question was Slay playing or not? I'm feeling good going in this game. We know that you can put up points on the Bengals. We know we're going to put up points on the Bengals, and I feel way more confident in our defense now that they've shown some consistency. So I'm excited for the Bengals game. It should be a good one. Yeah, I hope we can see Sidney Brown. Sidney versus Chase.
Yeah, I want to see Sidney. I want to see Sidney clothesline his brother real quick. That's what I want to see. But you know, it's interesting, right? Prior to this game or prior to this bye week, we were saying to ourselves, yo, the DBs are actually playing all right. Can they get a pass rush? You feel what I'm saying? Like, okay, Zach Bond, the linebackers, they're not terrible. They're above average. Can we get some defensive line play, some consistency at that point? And post bye week, I don't know what Clint Hurt said to them boys. I don't know what Jeremiah Washburn said to those edge rushers, but they came and they saw and they conquering right now, and they're maximizing their opportunities. And above, when you just look at it outside of who they play, when you just look at how they're moving, how they're playing together, right? There was a sack where I think Nolan Smith came off the edge. He came off so quick, he forced Daniel Jones to step up into the pocket, which basically threw the oop for Jalen Carter to get the sack. And that's when you saw those guys celebrating, and Jalen Carter was pointing at him like, yo, that was you. So this defense is definitely trending in the right direction. I love everything I'm saying from both sides of the ball. You've seen consistency from Zach Bond since the beginning of the season. You've seen consistency from Quinyon Mitchell since the beginning of the season. Everybody else is starting to stabilize. And LB, what you started the conversation off with, I think this is the reason why this defense looks this good. Not the only reason, but one of the reasons, one of the main reasons. That Cooper DeJean addition is insane. Like the stark difference in what they're able to do compared to when Avonte Maddox is on the field is night and day. The Cooper DeJean addition, not only is he better just in coverage, he's better maneuvering through the traffic. You always saw Avonte Maddox getting lost in traffic whenever they sent him in motion to follow somebody. He always got lost in traffic, and he just couldn't stick with the guy. Cooper DeJean, he can get through the traffic, and not only that, once he put hands on you, you're going to the ground. He can tackle, athletic, can get behind the line of scrimmage, can rush the passer. I mean, he just seems like a stabilizing force in that slot, and that's actually the part of the field where the Philadelphia Eagles have always been taken advantage of over the past several seasons, right? Cooper DeJean has definitely stabilized that part of the field. Nakobe Dean played his best game as a Philadelphia Eagle. His best game, his highest graded game. He's had up and down games this season, but what I like from Nakobe Dean, above all else, is we're seeing consistent effort. We're seeing a consistent bill of health, and we're seeing the threads of improvement week to week to week, right? And then you can throw Bryce Huff into there as well. Give me your opinion on those two specific players, Bryce Huff and Nakobe Dean. I feel like those two players have gotten the most scrutiny on this defense since the season has started. Just give me your perspective on those two guys in particular.
I mean, I think one positive thing about both of them is they both extremely hard workers. Like Nakobe Dean, everything Nakobe Dean gets is because he doesn't give up. Like he could be blocked and fall, then he'll get back up and continue to play, and then it'll end up being sacked. Like, so Nakobe Dean is showing that Nakobe Dean knows why he's in the NFL, because he had to outwork a bunch of people. It's not because he's the most talented linebacker. You know what I mean? He just has to outwork a lot of people. And I think that's the same thing with Bryce Huff. I don't even think Bryce Huff was drafted. I think, was he an undrafted free agent? Yeah, Bryce Huff was undrafted.
Undrafted and fought his way on the Jets.
Exactly. So that's a guy. Those two guys know hard work, and they're just not going to give up. And you know, and I'm happy to see them have some success. Now, I think Fangio is understanding that when you blitz Nakobe Dean, you get positive results when you blitz Nakobe Dean. You know, now you're able to blitz Nakobe Dean more because you have Cooper DeJean on the field. Huff just gotta play with the boys on the line, and everything gonna come to him. As long as that line playing like that, everybody gonna eat. You know what I mean? Everybody gonna eat as long as that line playing off of each other like that. And Huff had some really, really good reps. I know it only resulted in one sack, but he had some damn good reps. I think he had a sack last week too, right?
Yes. He a lot of people don't talk about
it. Against the Browns?
Sack, but those he did. It was a half a sack. Those count to me because you're there. You know, you got to split sacks if it's two of y'all there.
It's a party at the quarterback. You know, the last two times we've seen three guys gang tackling the quarterback on multiple instances for the Philadelphia Eagles defense. So I just think those guys work extremely hard, and you could never like count a guy out that works hard. You know, when you're talking about, you know, in terms of like a guy like Sidney Brown, we just don't see the effort and the hard work all the time from Maddox. We don't see the effort and the hard work all the time from him. That's why it looks different. So, you know, we can't bench him, but I do want to see some Trot Jr. I ain't gonna lie, I do want to see it. But you know, hey man, the winning streak that I feel like we about to go on, keep it how it's moving because everybody gelling together.
For sure. And Symone, real quick before you go, I just want to read this real quick because I mentioned I noticed a lot of people have been talking a lot about blitzing and blitzing, after that game. And if you really, I had a chance to double back and really get into it and read into it. He really did. See, Fangio didn't necessarily blitz a lot in that game. What he did was he sent various combinations of 4-man rushes. So although you will see Nakobe Dean coming downhill, slicing through to the quarterback, you'll say, "Oh, that was a blitz." They only sent 4. It's just it's just the way it looks, and I think that's the nuance.
I always forget the term for it. It's called something pressure. I always forget the term for it. But
is it simulated pressure? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's simulated pressure. It's simulated pressure. Yeah. So it always ends. It always ends with 4 guys. So you still have your backside covered. Nobody's like it's not a glaring hole anywhere. Yeah. But you just don't know where that 4th guy coming from. Right.
And what made this Eagles team, at least for me, concerning in the first part of the season, I was asking myself, yes, blitzing helps, but you can't blitz all the time. At some point, you got to be able to get home with a 4-man rush. No matter who's going, you got to get home with a 4-man rush. And for them to get home 8 times, all 8 of their sacks came on a 4-man pass rush. Granted, they had injuries on that O-line, no Andrew Thomas, but to get 8 sacks with a 4-man pass rush from this team that we had concerns about the defensive line coming in, I think that's a step in the right direction, and that only does boost your confidence. Symone, what's your thoughts on? What's your thoughts on Bryce Huff, Nakobe Dean, and just, again, the 4-man pass rush and whatnot?
I mean, obviously early in the season, struggling, but it's just good to know, sometimes we just got to be patient. Not as much for Nakobe Dean because he's been here, but I mean, Bryce Huff was coming into a new team, new system, new defensive coordinator, was quiet for a couple of games, but it's good to see that we are making those adjustments to put him in the best position. Like, that's big shout out to Vic Fangio there. And then just Nakobe Dean, like LB was saying, like turning it up the work. Like you already know you're not the biggest, you're not the fastest, you're not the strongest, but that effort has to be there. The only thing with Nakobe Dean, I feel like, is in last game, Nakobe was popping, but we just got to see consistency. Like we need consistency. Like so far this season has been up and down with Nakobe Dean, who have a good game, then have a game where he missed in all these tackles. Brown's game, missed that big crucial tackle. We ended up getting out of that drive with just a field goal, but I mean, like just an easy tackle missed. We can't have that this week. Like we got to be tight. The Bengals got weapons. The Bengals is able to score. They be in a lot of shootouts. Dean just got to be tight. He just got to be consistent, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think the one thread that stands true over these past couple of weeks is they've been trying to, at least in my opinion, I feel like the game plan has been coming together pretty well. Like they're not overthinking it, right? I feel like prior to that bye week, you saw them just overthinking a game plan, especially on offense, right? And I'm ready to transition to that if you guys are. You saw an overcomplicated or just a overthought out game plan, right? Outthinking yourself, outsmarting yourself. Nick Sirianni's prone for doing that. But these past 2 weeks, you kind of saw a game plan that saw them just kind of reacting or sort of adjusting to whatever the opponent was allowing to happen. In that Browns game, okay, you tried to run the ball. Your running game wasn't really getting off. Saquon had 18 rushing attempts, not much yardage at all. They did a good job bottling up Saquon Barkley. Okay, that's not working. You do what you got to do. You take advantage of your explosive plays. You beat them over the top. You get those guys lost in traffic and motion, and you get things going in the passing game. So the passing game pretty much led the way in that Browns matchup. And then this game, okay, their pass rush, the Giants pass rush, they lead the league in sacks, right? Top 10 defense, top 10 in points allowed, top 10 in yardage allowed. All right, okay, they got 4 sacks on us in the first half, 3 in the first quarter. We got to make an adjustment fast. Otherwise, this game will get out of hand and our quarterback will get killed. All right, Saquon, time to unleash the beast. Because they tried to get him involved early in that game, but, the sacks was kind of putting him behind the chains and so on and so forth. So then you start feeding Saquon. Let's not overcomplicate the game plan. You know what? The inside zone run is not really working right now. Let's switch to an outside zone run. Let's attack them on the edge, right? Let's force those north-south pass rushes to go east and west. And now you got guys like Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence who very comfortable going forward. But now you got them going laterally. They can't really take advantage of their explosiveness that way. And now you got Saquon Barkley going for 50-plus yards. You got Kenny Gainwell getting a 15-yard run there, 13-yard run there, 14-yard run there. So give me your perspective. LB, we can start with you. Give me your perspective on just what you saw from that offense. Let's try to peel back the layers, man. Let's start with the overall approach from the coaches and how they adjusted to that situation and the quarterback already being down with 3 sacks in the first quarter. Give me your perspective on how they adjusted through that.
So first, I'll start with the quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts showed patience, and I think Jalen Hurts actually was being smart. A couple sacks that he took, that's the only thing he could do. You know what I mean? And he ate the sack instead of forcing the bad pass. That's what we want, right? We don't want them forcing passes. There were actually a couple of plays where I got to emphasize this. That's a good defense over there. I think Jalen played smart, mistake-free football. You know what I mean? 2 weeks in a row, might I add. You know what I mean? And then I think the coaches coached. Just like we talk about, getting Saquon to the edge and things of that nature. That's a coaching decision because that directly mitigates where the Giants defense is strong at, which is in the middle, in the interior with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns and all of those guys. So, we make the conscious decision to, if AJ is one-on-one, we know we're going to throw the ball to AJ Brown if it's one-on-one down the sideline. That's just a staple of what we got going on. But what I liked about Sunday in terms of coaching for the offense was knowing that this game was important to Saquon Barkley in all aspects. You know what I mean? This game is so important to Saquon Barkley. We're going to pull Ben Van Summeren from the defensive bench and make him a lead blocker. That's how much I want Saquon Barkley to eat. He looked damn good.
He looked good too.
He looked damn good. He looked damn good.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if either of y'all remember this actually, but remember in training camp when they was like, after all the real stuff is over, they would do like their one-on-one stuff and they have fun, right? Ben Van Summeren, he lined him up across from Nakobe Dean, I think, and he routed his ass up. And Ben Van Summeren, I guess he used to play tight end back in the day. So, that's how that transition happened. To your point about that, LB, that speaks to one of my favorite mindsets of a coach is knowing your personnel.
Right.
Knowing who you have on your roster, knowing what you're capable of. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you ain't got Dallas Goedert in this game. Grant Kakatera is very limited as a blocker. Albert he's fresh off the IR. What can he really give you, right? So either you're going to bring in another offensive lineman and make sure he checks in with the ref as eligible, or you're going to get creative. And I love that from Kellen Moore. You got to give Nick Sirianni credit for that too. I mean, they had those conversations about, the personnel groupings, and seeing Ben Van Summeren do his thing, the way he was pulling, springing Saquon Barkley for those 30, 40, 50-yard runs, it was magical, honestly.
No, he was blocking defensive linemen. He was blocking linebackers. Now, I think linebackers hit each other in practice a lot, but Van Summeren, he might have found his way to more playing time. You know what I mean? Any way he could. You know what I mean? And that's what a hungry player does. I think the offense played the game that it was supposed to play. Listen, if you can't stop us from running the ball, we got Saquon Barkley. If the Bengals can't stop Saquon Barkley in his offensive line, Jalen Hurts only needed to throw the ball 10 times. It is what it is.
Right.
It is what it is. And that's how we got to, and that's how we got to approach the offense now moving forward. My thing with the offense is that we forget our identity in the first 15 plays of a game. Run the ball. Start the game off being physical. Let's get east and west. Let's run the ball. Let's incorporate some small play action. Let's try to get into as many third and shorts as we can.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's all the mindset got to be, because we could just push it. Let's get to as many third and shorts as we can. So I like what I saw from the offense. Like we said, we talk about coaching. We talk about knowing your personnel. You know what I mean? AJ Brown is. We got to start talking about AJ Brown and like, he good. He the best in this. No, AJ Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. That's just what it is. So I think the offense found swagger. That's all they need. The talent there, they found swagger. So, hey man, we might put up a 30 ball on the Bengals on the road.
Yeah, for sure. Symone,
I wouldn't question putting up that 30 ball, because the Bengals, they be in some high scoring games. But offense, besides the slow start, which obviously is going to work itself out as the season goes on, hopefully. The offense, I was so pleased with the offense. Jalen Hurts, back-to-back games with no turnovers, back-to-back game, no picks, no fumbles. Like you said, taking the sacks, but still protecting the ball. AJ Brown and then one-on-ones. Anytime the ball is going up in AJ Brown's direction, I just know he gonna make the play. Like, if it's if AJ Brown need to get the first down, I just know AJ gonna get the first down. Like the trust I have in AJ Brown is insane. And you could just see like the confidence that Jalen has with AJ on the field. And how could you not be so confident when you got AJ Brown who you could throw to? Like, oh my goodness. AJ Brown, I would say hands down, best wide receiver in the league. Like I said, AJ gonna make the play. AJ gonna get the first down. AJ gonna shrug whoever or drag whoever with him to get that first down. Like I've never had so much trust in somebody like I got in AJ. Saquon Barkley, again, just so good to see him have that type of game versus the Giants. So good to see, you know, again, somebody who can continue to move the pile, can get that extra yard, can make that extra play. Like having that in Saquon Barkley on the ground and then having that with AJ Brown, wide receiver, it's just scary what this offense could be able to do. Like I said, just have to start faster because obviously down the road, not even 3 points in a quarter, like no points in the quarter is crazy. But that'll smooth itself out later. But also, like y'all said, the offense getting creative, using Ben Van Summerman more. Like, that's the creativity we want to see. Like, that's what we want to see, and we're starting to see it. So Jalen Hurts taking care of the ball. That was one of the big things that we wanted changed earlier in the season. And then the play calling being more creative. That's another thing we want to see. And those are two things, boom, we're already seeing at this point.